Shabbat Shalom. How wonderful it is to see so many of our young people here today. It's just wonderful. At this time in the service, we have the pleasure of hearing from this year's Maalot graduates. The word Maalot means steps, suggesting that Jewish education is a process of climbing from one level to another, step by step to higher levels of knowledge. We're very proud of our 3-year Maalot program, which gives our teens the opportunity to continue their studies beyond their B'nai Mitzvah. As is our tradition, the students will present a program based on their experiences and learning over the past 3 years. I am sure you will find their words inspiring. It is my pleasure to introduce the 2014 Maalot graduates. You can smile.
Today, is this on? All right. Today, on this Shabbat, we come before our parents, families, teachers, and friends, bearing the fruits of our learning.
As we enter adulthood, each of us must consider, how will I live as a Jew? What does Judaism mean to me? Up to now, our parents have answered these questions for us. But soon, we will be the adults answering and making important decisions about being Jewish.
Being Jewish means many things to me, and it has a great impact on my everyday life today and will continue to do so in the future. Judaism provides me with values and morals which influence my life and the way in which I conduct myself.
For me, the most important aspects of Judaism are the rituals and way of life they provide. Being Jewish is a life obligation and also part of everyday life. The Jewish laws teach us a certain way of life, and growing up in a Jewish community helps to embed them into our daily lives.
Soon we will celebrate the festival of Shavuot, the time of the giving of the Torah to our people. The Torah records our earliest history as a people and sets down rules on how we should conduct our lives.
Thousands of years ago, Moses and the leaders of the Jews had to figure out answers for their generation. I may not know what is right all of the time, but I do know that the Torah contains answers if we study it. I also know that rabbis and scholars have read and reread the Torah again and again for thousands of years, writing down their interpretations of God's meanings to help others learn even more.
Judaism teaches me many values about how to be a good person and help the greater community, rather than focusing on my own needs. This value has inspired me to have a love of volunteering. I volunteer in the Bina special needs class at Beth Israel Religious School, as well as in the Jewish community through service projects at school.
With my Jewish identity, I discern basic right from wrong and set a general path in life through morals and reasoning. This is one of the important traits that governs my choices, and it is an increasingly more important one for me. I believe that this will heavily impact what I will do with my life.
The Torah is our most prized possession, to be studied and to be passed down from one generation to the next.
Being a part of the Jewish religion is very important as it connects us to what our ancestors did by giving us a look into the past, as we are still reciting prayers that sages and prophets wrote over 2,000 years ago.
The continuation of my Jewish education in Maalot will help me to teach future generations about Judaism while fulfilling my responsibility to pass our teachings on to my children when it is my turn. It seems to me, however, that each generation does less than the one before when it comes to being committed to the Jewish community. If that continues long enough, then we would become the same as others, and nothing would set us apart, and we would lose our special Jewish identity. Obviously, I do not want to see this happen, and I do not want us to forget our unique history. By enhancing my knowledge of Judaism, I can help to keep traditions alive.
Living our lives as Jews obligates each of us to answer the questions, How will I fulfill the commandments? What meaning will I find in our traditions?
Judaism provides us a way of life as the 613 commandments or rules that we are all striving to obey each and every day. Although no one is perfect, we are each trying to put our best foot forward. Jewish laws help us to accomplish this by setting goals and expectations for us. Being a religious Jew is something difficult. In my case, being a minority in a public school means that I have to educate my peers about my religion. I always need to watch what food is brought into school, as well as it is sometimes not kosher. Being Jewish requires thinking and also a lot of time for the daily rituals. But for all the time it takes out of my secular life, I am proud to be Jewish.
I know that there is more to Judaism than what is seen on the surface. Subjects like Kabbalah intrigue me.
Born a non-Jew, Ruth married a Jew and became totally devoted to her new family. Her words have become legendary. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you stay, I will stay.
And Jewish tradition will guide me in the right direction.
The prophet Isaiah wrote that
kingship.
One value which is important to me is honor thy neighbor. I do not believe this to be literally a next-door neighbor, but neighbor in the sense of everyone around me. This value teaches me to respect all others and to treat them with dignity.
There is holiness when we remember those who are lonely and needy and bring some comfort into their world of darkness.
As Jewish adults.
No matter how small the mitzvah is, it can bring us together to create one peaceful unit with each one of us.
Then, some other students who had joined Maalot talked about their experiences, such as all the friends they made and the way the classes were structured. From that point on, my mind was set. I was going to continue in Maalot. I'm glad I did. It's been one of the most meaningful experiences of my life.
As we continue to grow and eventually go on our separate ways, we pray that God will bless us. Today and always, we pray for peace within ourselves, our families, and in the world. May we have strength to believe in who we are, to preserve Judaism for our children, and to make our homes and communities places of goodness, joy, and peace.
Whom I knew attended services regularly with her parents, shouted out, of course, the correct answer, the Torah. My colleague, Rabbi Larry Kushner, had a similar experience. He was asking the question, and one of the students said, when you open the doors of the ark, there will be a giant mirror. And surprisingly, this young child was right. Because the great mystery of every Jewish sacred text is that in its holy words, we meet ourselves on our own Jewish journeys, the journeys that we have heard just described. In other words, the Torah and each of our sacred texts are the looking glass, if you will, from which we can gain perspective on our people's past, can achieve insight, as you have, on our current situation, and create those visions for our personal future. Through the reflection of Torah, we can see more clearly ourselves in the place and the story of our people, as each, again, of our Maalot students have reflected so meaningfully on their learning and experiences over these past 3 years. And so what kinds of qualities and characteristics does it take to identify that individual path and to stick to it? And so I share with you a teaching, a story from Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Ancestors, that we study this time of year, which tells of the great Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's assignment to his students, that they go out into the world, investigate, explore, and that they should identify the single trait, or in Hebrew, the midah, that a person must have to keep on a spiritual, godly path. Now, like those second grade students who guessed about what was behind the curtain, each of the students of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai came back with a slightly different answer. One believed that it is an ayin tova, a good eye. A good eye. In other words, the ability to discern and distinguish between that which is right and wrong, that which is sacred and that which is ordinary as the premier trait. Another student said, not surprisingly, that having a chaver tov, a good friend, loyalty and the ability to bond with others. A third said, haroeh et hanolad, the ability to see into the future, in other words, to foresee the consequences of the actions that we choose. And finally, the last student, Rabbi Eliezer, answered, a lev tov. A lev tov, a good heart. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, their teacher, sat for a moment, considered each of the suggested answers. A good eye, a good friend, the ability to see into the future, and a good heart. And then he turns to the others, and he agrees with Rabbi Elazar, saying, a lev tov, a good heart, supersedes the others because it leads us to the others. And so I think that it has been with your class. You have good eyes, are insightful. During your years in school, you have grappled with provocative questions about our people, our history, Holocaust, God. You've brought intelligence and thoughtfulness to your learning. You're anxious to share your knowledge with others, which is why so many of you, as I mentioned earlier, have worked in our religious school as tutors and helpers for our younger students and volunteer throughout the community. You're friends. You help support each other in ways that are unique for a group of teens coming from many different public and private high schools. You look out for each other, you tease each other, care deeply about each other, and it's wonderful to see the respect that you have for each other most of the time. You are sensitive to the consequences of your actions. You care deeply about the world that you are now an active caretaker, a world that desperately needs your foresight and thoughtfulness. But most of all, you have good hearts, which animate your insight and your friendship and your foresight. And for all of us who have had the privilege of teaching you here from preschool through Hebrew school, on retreats in our building, during B'nai Mitzvah preparations, through Maalot, all of us have learned more about Torah and ourselves as it was reflected in you, in your innocent questions, in your challenging provocations, in your justified confusion, in your wise revelations. And for having taught us that on behalf of all of us, let me say not only Mazal Tov, but Todah Rabbah. Each of you in your own way will determine how we will grow as a Jewish people in the years to come. We need you and your commitment, your continued reflection in the mirror of your identity to ensure that, like the name of our program, as Mrs. Glazer explained, as it implies, you will continue to strive upward to maintain and enhance our future. We are extremely proud of you and congratulate all of your extended families on this occasion, and we pray that all of us may join together often in the future to celebrate other outstanding accomplishments. Parents that are here and grandparents in the program for this morning that lists all of...
And I have watched you grow and mature over the years. Your interests have expanded and the demands on your time have certainly increased. All of you, one essential part to learning, especially on Tuesday evenings: food and snacks. We know how excited you are to be traveling to Israel this summer. Mazal Tov. I'll give you help. Okay. Aaron Wendell, you have become a strong leader at Beth Israel, from serving on the USY board to chairing youth group events, volunteering in the religious school, to your Jewish education, and look forward to your future achievements. Mazal Tov. Micah Greenspoon. Micah, how pleased we were when you joined our Maalot program last year. You have become an important member of our youth group, being a good friend. Mazal Tov. I'd like to take a moment to also share the note attached to this little gift bag that the students received, containing a simple garden tool, usually used for digging. And the note attached to it says the following: strengthen your roots with Jewish knowledge. Dig deep to find that which brings meaning to your life. Nurture your soul with the song of ages past, for only with strong roots will your branches grow. Students, it has been our pleasure to nurture those roots, to help you water them, and to watch you grow. And it has been my distinct pleasure, and I love you all. Please stand and face the congregation so we can recognize you. Thank you.
We continue now, page 155.